Hello, in this first video we're going to go through making our own AI in Wekinator and answering a little bit about what is artificial intelligence. Wekinator is one of those applications that you should have installed in that first D2L activity. So go do that first if you haven't already. Okay, so first, what is AI? Just a little bit about that. I think the most familiar place to start with AIs is basically science fiction. So C-3PO, WALL-E, Terminator, all these sort of science fiction AIs are, really intelligent and capable machines or computers. A lot of other things that you may or may not think of as AI, like your voice assistant, recommendation algorithms on Netflix and Amazon, different face or photo filtering apps, all of those things also sort of fall under AI. So you should notice that there's a pretty big difference between those two applications. The one is called artificial general intelligence. Really, we haven't made much progress towards that at all, but all these little narrower applications are called artificial narrow intelligence, and those are things that we program to do one very specific task very well. And so that's the type of artificial intelligence systems that we'll be building and working with in this class, because those are the only ones that really exist right now. Pretty much all of the advances and applications of artificial narrow intelligence over the last 10 years have come from machine learning, which is this technique to give computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. And so the contrast there is with normal computer programming, which even if you've never done it before, you should know is not a system where computers learn, but really just that normal computer programming and the way your computer normally operates is just by following instructions very quickly. So you should have in your mind your picture of your computer as this little empty box that really knows nothing, and for the most part just takes your instructions and follows them blindly. So our little blindfolded computer box chugging along blindly, doing billions of computations a second. So the example we'll use to get an idea of how that works is we're going to build a pirate detector. So we want to be able to determine, okay, do we have a pirate or not a pirate? That's what we're going to teach Wekinator to do. So the way this works is the first thing we need to do is just send our pirate to Wekinator. And so in the language of Wekinator, the pirate over here is going to be an input to Wekinator. That's something that Wekinator is going to get and take in. And then on the other side here, we're going to have an output. And if we think about that, that's going to be that answer, pirate or not pirate. Again, in the terminology of machine learning, what we're building is called a classifier. So we need to classify whether this smiley is a pirate. And for our computer, the categories, the things that we have are always going to be numbers. So a pirate, I'm going to say that's category 1. That means pirate. I have to sort of ascribe that meaning to it. Or not a pirate. That will be category 2. And again, this is going to be sort of our output. And we're going to have just a little display on our screen that will take category 1, and it will tell us that we've detected a pirate. And if it sees category 2, it will say everything's safe. No pirates here. So let's open these applications and see exactly how that works. So first, our inputs, that's this piece of processing code here. And to run that, I'll click play, and that will generate a little screen with my little pirate guy on it. And it's got, an eye patch that we can move around the screen. So we have not a pirate or pirate. Then again, I need to send that into Wekinator. So that's the next thing I need is I'll open Wekinator. And this is where we need to do that sort of translation between, how we describe the task in words and how we're doing this on the computer. So the first thing you'll see in this display is we've got receiving OSC. So this is basically where Wekinator is going to listen for the inputs. And you can see the inputs, that's this pirate. And you can see the information here is displayed. It's port 6648, so the port matches, which is good. That means that this software will send that signal to Wekinator, just as we need it to do. And the next thing we need to note is how many numbers, how many things is it going to send. So here it's sending 2 inputs, X and Y. So that's the position of this eye patch from sort of 0, 0 up here in the corner down to about 500, 600, 500 down here. So we need that to match. So in this case, we have 2 inputs, so we need this number here to be 2. Next, for outputs here, this is, if we look back to our example here, we just have one output. It's just pirate or not a pirate. So in Wekinator here, we don't need 5 outputs, we just need 1. And a continuous output would be, like a volume knob from 0 to 1 or something like that. This, though, is just a number, category 1 or category 2. So instead of a continuous, we need a classifier. And this will set it up so we can sort of send our input to Wekinator and then send that to our output. Okay, so that's just getting everything set up. So now that we've got everything set up, how can we actually teach Wekinator to do what we want? So the process that we'll use is called supervised learning. That's one of these very popular machine learning methods, and it's really pretty simple. The thing to remember is that the computer starts out knowing absolutely nothing. One thing you should learn in this class is that computers really are extremely stupid in a lot of ways. They really know nothing unless we teach it to them. So in this case here, though we know perfectly well that this smiley face with the eye patch is our pirate, and this is just a nice ordinary smiley, the computer has no idea about that to start with. So the first thing we'll do is we'll give it some examples. So we'll tell it, okay, this thing over here is a pirate. This thing over here is not a pirate. In its language, these are the categories. So we'll say, when you see this, this is category 1, a pirate. This other thing over here fits in category 2, not a pirate. So in the Wekinator program, that's this number 1 here called recording examples. So we're going to give it examples where we sort of tell it the answer, that this is a pirate, category 1, this is not a pirate, category 2. Then we'll run this step called training. That's where the machine will try to learn, Wekinator will try to learn from the examples. So we'll try to learn things like this I should categorize as a pirate, and things like this I should categorize as not a pirate. At that point, though, it still hasn't done anything. Hopefully, if we've done it well, it will maybe just sort of parrot back the sort of things we fed into it. But what we really need to do next is to run the model to check that it really has done what we want it to do. So we'll feed it some new inputs and check to see whether Wekinator gets the right answer on a sort of pirate face that it's never seen before, whether it can still categorize it correctly as a pirate or not a pirate. So let's go through that now. So again, I've got my pirate to inputs box from processing up here, and I'm going to now do this example state. So I'm going to use the recording feature to record some examples for our model. So here I'll put my eye patch on one of its eyes and start recording, and I'll just jiggle the eye patch around a little bit so it gets a little bit of a different view of, okay, anywhere in there is all still a pirate. Now I'll do for the other eye here. Again, start recording, jiggle it around a little bit. Yeah, those are all basically pirates. So stop recording. I want to record in relatively short segments just so that I don't get too much data that will make it take a long time to do that next step, the training stage. So now I've given it some examples of category 1 of it being a pirate. The next thing I need to do is pick some examples of category 2, not a pirate. So I'll move my cursor over here. This is not a pirate. This little eye patch is off the person's face. And I'll start recording. So I'll just move it around. This is not a pirate. This is not a pirate. Anywhere up here, all this stuff would be not a pirate. And stop recording. So now I've done step 1 there. I've recorded some examples of pirate and not a pirate. The next step is train. So now I'll click the train button, step 2, and it went and it took those examples, and now it's tried to sort of guess, is it going to do what I want? Then I'll be able to run. When I run here, I'm just going to open up that other piece of processing code that's my output, so I get a little display on the screen to see what output it's assigning. So that will show up over here. This is my pirate detector output. Wekinator will take my input and it will determine, is this a pirate or not. So to get started, I just click run. That's step 3. Now it's every single time I move this around, it's going to determine, is this a pirate or not. So over here, not a pirate, that checks out. That's pretty good. Let's see if I move the eye patch right on the pirate. Yep, that's good. That does look like a pirate. Over here, yep, still a pirate. What about right here? Here it's calling this a pirate, but this looks like it's the guy's nose, or maybe this is a clown. This is a completely different thing. This is not a pirate at all. So since we didn't give it an example that looked like this, it just thinks anywhere in the middle of the face looks like a pirate according to the model. But again, we can just keep going through this sort of training setup to fix this. So we'll stop running and we'll say, okay, well, this right here, this is not a pirate. So I'm going to go to category 2 here. This is not a pirate if I see this sort of clown looking thing. And instead I'll go in here and I'll start recording again. I'll give it some examples. This is not a pirate. This is not a pirate. All of those things are not a pirate as well. Have a few more examples. And then again, I go through the steps again. I'll train again and start running. So now, not a pirate, not a pirate, not a pirate. It's now doing a much, danger pirate. See right here, this is like a clown dimple thing again. So this is another one where we probably need to give it some more examples and tell it, okay, this isn't a pirate either. But that's the basic idea here. We go through, we give it these examples, train it, and see if it can, sort of do what we taught it to do.